Marcus Aurelius Meditations, Episode 1. This is the front cover of the text I'll be using for the Greek edition of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. M. Antoninus Imperator. The M stands for Marcus. Imperator is his title, the emperor. Ad se ipsum. So while these are typically called the Meditations, the Greek title, reflected here in the Latin ad se ipsum, really means to himself, addressed to himself. These are his reflections, his soliloquies that are internally directed. Recognoit breveque ad notatione critica instruxit I.H. Leopold. That means revised, recognoit, that's a perfect indicative third singular active from recognosco, and breveque, and equipped or supplied, instruxit, instruo, instruera, with a brief, brevi, critical annotation, ad notatione, that is set of critical notes, by I.H. Leopold. Oxonii e typographeo Clarendoniano. So published at Oxford. Oxonii is a locative from the Clarendon Press, typographeo. Marcu Antoninu autokratoros. Ton es heauton. Biblion alpha. Parra tu pappu ueru ta kaloethes kai aorgeton. Beta, para tes doxes kai mnemes tes peri tu gene santas, ta aidemon kai arrenekon. So we begin with these genitives, masculine singular genitive. These are Latin words, Marcus Antoninus, that have been Hellenized, that is, they have been made to speak Greek. Marcu Antoninu. And incidentally, this kind of cross-fertilization between the two languages is a great help in understanding how the languages were pronounced at the time. Because if we know the quantity of one letter, like this kappa, that it was hard, then that tells us that when transliterated from the Latin Marcus, that the C was taken as hard also. So Marcu Antoninu, of Marcus Antoninus, that is, Marcus Aurelius, autokratoros, this is the genitive masculine singular of the noun autokrator, which means one who rules himself. The emperor, here in this instance, ton. This ton is neuter, plural, and genitive. It's a substantive adjective. Of those things, concerning those topics which are addressed, eis heauton. Eis here is the preposition, eis, always with the accusative, of those things addressed or spoken to himself, heauton, masculine, singular, and accusative. The first book, Biblion Alpha, the first book. And then he begins with alpha prime here, editorially added. From, para, the preposition with the genitive, from my grandfather, pappu, this is from the nominative, pappos, meaning grandfather, from my grandfather, ueru. This is the Hellenization of the noun verus, or veres. From my grandfather Verus, this is what I acquired. That's how this is typically understood, typically translated, and it's a very good hypothesis. From my grandfather Verus, I got ta, kaloethes, and aorgeton. These two words mean, respectively, being well-disposed. Notice the definite article here substantivizes this adjective, being well-disposed, or even-keeled, and not prone to anger, orgeton. The noun orge in Greek means anger. So here, with the alpha privative, it means not prone to anger. This is the adjectival form. Both of these words, kaloethes and aorgeton, are so rare that they don't occur in the lexicon more than 50 times. They are both quite unusual words, and yet these are the ones that he chose. Kaloethes, an even disposition, and a tendency not to become angry. Beta prime, para tes doxes kai mnemes, that is, from the doxes, the reputation, and the mnemes, the memory, so the reputation or the fame and the memory. This is the reputation and fame, tes, peritu genesantas, and tu genesantas is masculine, singular, and genitive. It is an aorist active participle. So the reputation and the memory, the one that concerns or is of the one concerning he who begat me, genesantas, in other words, Father. I'm not sure why Marcus Aurelius would use this more elaborate construction instead of the simple genitive tu pappu that he used in the first one. Perhaps it's for variety. So, from the reputation and the memory of the one who begat me, I got from him ta eidemon kai arenikon. Modesty is how this is typically translated, eidemon, and manliness, arenikon. This is the adjectival form. Eidemon is related to the noun eidos, and this is ultimately from the verb horao, which means to see, the third principal part of which is eidon, and you can see then the id stem. So we have here the id stem with an alpha privative. So shame or modesty is not looking at things we're not supposed to look at. Or maybe better expressed as having a sense of reverence in the presence of something holy. So these then are the inheritance from his grandfather and his father, respectively.